Apple files a motion to dismiss a court order in the latest FBI story development. Foxconn puts its acquisition of Sharp on hold. Zuckerberg and Dorsey are threatened in an ISIS propaganda video, and more. It's Thursday, February 25th, and this is Crunch Report, presented by Toyota. So where were you when Apple launched the first iPad back in 2010? It doesn't really matter where you were actually, but it was a big deal. And Android tablets like the Samsung Galaxy Tab weren't far behind. It was a big year for a new form factor. Then there were all these new apps that came on the scene. It was all very world-changing, right? 6 years later, guess where you couldn't find any real presence of tablets? At Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. A bunch of TechCrunch people were just there. Now, part of that is because Apple, which is still the world's tablet leader, doesn't even come to Mobile World Congress. But they weren't part of Samsung's or LG's or Sony's or any other big player in the electronic world's booths either. No new tablets to announce. No tablet mentions during keynotes. Lenovo did release some cheap Android tablets, but they didn't really get any attention. Huawei announced the MateBook, but it's like a Surface Pro-ish device running Windows 10 for laptops, so it's not really a tablet anyway. So what has changed here? Well, a bunch of cheap Android tablets made it hard for any company to charge enough to make much of a profit. And then tablets have longer replacement cycles than phones, so there just isn't as much interest in yearly upgrades. It's certainly true for me. And of course, phones have just gotten bigger. The LG G5 with a 5.3-inch display and the Samsung Galaxy S7 with a 5.1-inch display are two big flagship phones that were announced in Barcelona this week. Once upon a time, they'd be called phablets. Now, they're just phones. All right, Apple executives have informed TechCrunch that Apple has filed a motion to vacate in the case of the FBI compelling Apple to help unlock an iPhone belonging to a terrorist. We have covered this story ad nauseum, but it just keeps getting better, different. The executive said they have cooperated quite a bit and that within hours, Apple had provided the information requested by the government back on December 6th and then again on December 16th, and that it cooperated again on January 22nd. Apple says it would have to create a government OS for the FBI and an FBI forensics lab on site that Apple says could be used to unlock iPhones in the future. In general, Apple maintains that the latest requests violate Apple's constitutional rights. The company wants to prevent passcode-free recovery mode in future iPhones, this is according to a new report in the New York Times, by figuring out a way to disable DFU mode, or at least limit it. DFU stands for Device Firmware Update. Apple has created DFU mode for troubleshooting purposes. For example, let's say you're in the Genius Bar and your iOS is totally borked and you can't use your phone. Apple has the power to boot your iPhone into DFU mode so you can reinstall a fresh version of iOS without having to boot iOS or enter a passcode. But if Apple requires that you enter a passcode to enter into DFU mode, then the company wouldn't be able to create a special firmware that would let the FBI just attempt a bunch of passcodes. According to the Financial Times, Apple is also thinking about giving private keys to customers rather than having them themselves so that the company couldn't be able to decrypt iCloud backups. Just hours after Sharp announced that it had agreed to be acquired by Foxconn for $6.2 billion, the Wall Street Journal reported that Foxconn had not, in fact, signed that agreement and had put the deal on hold due to concerns over Sharp's financial future. Foxconn tells the Journal in a statement, "We have to postpone the signing before both sides can reach an agreement. We hope to clarify it quickly and bring this deal to a successful conclusion." Saying a lot without saying anything. Kind of a bad situation for Sharp, which had already publicly confirmed the deal, which was approved unanimously by its board. Now, if it still ends up going through, it'll be the largest acquisition of a Japanese company from an overseas purchaser. Sharp says it plans to increase its production of OLED screens, they're gradually replacing LEDs, to 90 million 5.5-inch screens per year by 2019, which is representative of about $2.3 billion. Sharp also wants to create products around the Internet of Things, like cloud-based services for consumer products, and develop new camera modules for smartphones and for cars. Earlier this month, Twitter said it was taking violent extremism very seriously on its platform, claiming it had increased the size of the teams reviewing reports of problem content and said it had suspended more than 125,000 accounts for threatening or promoting terrorist acts primarily related to ISIS. This is since the middle of last year. Today, a video surfaced online from an apparent group of ISIS supporters which includes direct threats against Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey and Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, showing their faces being shot up with bullets. It's sort of awful. Vocatif, which is a media and deep web analysis company, first spotted the video on messaging app Telegram and then posted 2 screenshots online. TechCrunch has since seen the video and can verify there is a threatening sequence. Now, this isn't the first time that Twitter has been targeted by ISIS supporters. You might remember back in March last year, a post showed up online threatening Twitter employees and Jack Dorsey specifically. As for Telegram, the company has made its own counter moves against ISIS propaganda, purging a series of pro-ISIS public channels last November, which had been allowing extremists to broadcast pro-ISIS content. Okay, here's an interesting one. Engineers at Brain Inc. claim that they have developed an advanced algorithm that offers the most contextually relevant information to a user without the need to look through search results. Brain says that the company's technology has already been answering questions on Quora very accurately, but the real idea with the technology and the algorithm is to serve as a complement to a user's own brain. Founder Jerry Yu tells TechCrunch's John Schieber, at a high level, if Google is a search engine, then this is an ambition engine. Brain wants to create a virtual assistant for each user by having users input profiles and their job descriptions, the stuff they like to do, and what they see themselves doing in the future. Eventually, Brain wants to combine its data set with a social platform to connect users who share similar interests. Yu says that he's been working on this algorithm for over 4 years to offer more than just flat information based on a discrete data set at a specific moment in time. That's how search results work now. What Brain wants to do is continually deliver information to help a user progress toward their goals. Like if you want to get a cheeseburger, but you're not supposed to get a cheeseburger, then Brain might suggest something else. And that is the report for today. I'm Sarah Lane. Thanks for watching. Crunch Report airs every weekday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on TechCrunch.com. You can find us on iTunes and on YouTube as well. See you tomorrow.